As many of you already know, that if I was to pick a favorite Legend of Zelda game, it would have to be A Link to the Past. So when I heard about this one coming out, it was a game that was a given that I had to get my hands on it, and I played it till I made myself sick of it. It's been a little over a year now since I last gave it a go, so I figured why not? Let's check it out, and now that I have means of capturing gameplay, let's finally say a few things about it. In Japan, A Link Between Worlds is subtitled Triforce of the Gods 2. Part 1, of course, being known as A Link to the Past. But the game really isn't that much of a sequel. At least it doesn't feel that way to me. Where it fits into the Zelda timeline, I don't know. I've addressed my thoughts on the timeline in the past, so I'll spare you here. That said, there have been direct sequels in the Zelda franchise. Zelda 1 and Adventure of Link, Wind Waker, and Phantom Hourglass seem like they'd fit together well. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is a little bit looser, but that works. But this, definitely not a sequel, and it's not a remake either. It's another game that takes place in the same world as A Link to the Past, but changes things up just enough to make it something new and different. Before we get into those details, let's talk about the presentation of the game. As you can tell, the design of this game is completely inspired by A Link in the Past through and through, just on modern hardware. There may be a few better looking games on the 3DS, but this is still a fantastic looking game. The musical compositions in this game include many rearranged versions of A Link to the Past soundtrack. I remember when I played this game for the first time and heard the arrangement for the Kakariko Village theme, it just brought a smile to my face. It's a little strange that a chill track like that emoted so much out of me, but this one did. All the arrangements in the game are fantastic, and the sound effects just as good, all very familiar to a Zelda fan. From Link's sword blasts to the grunts and the other limited voice effects, it's all really good. Before I get into the gameplay, let's talk about the story a little bit. In this, Link is a blacksmith's apprentice who stumbles upon adventure and possible destiny while attempting to deliver a new sword to the captain of the Hyrule Guard. He encounters an evil wizard known as Yuga who has plans to turn the descendants of the Seven Sages into paintings and use their power to resurrect Ganon. Prior to getting abducted herself, Zelda gives Link the Pendant of Courage and sets him on a quest to obtain the Pendants of Power and Wisdom, enabling him to wield the Master Sword, the fabled blade that once enabled a legendary hero to overcome great evil in the past. Following Link's second encounter with the evil wizard, Yuga attempts to turn Link into a painting. However, a bracelet given to him by a strange friend enables Link to freely traverse between the two and three-dimensional planes. Link eventually chases Yuga into Lorule, an alternate version of Hyrule which seems to be overturned with evil to the point where it's crumbling into oblivion. Here he is saved from the awakened Ganon by Princess Hilda, this world's analog to Zelda, however much more mysterious. I know that's kind of a butchery of the story, but I don't want to give away too much. The gameplay is a melding of modern and retro sensibilities for sure. If you've played Link to the Past, a lot of elements here will be very familiar to you, but there are plenty of new things here to experience as well. The wall merging ability is really neat and becomes a big part of the problem-solving elements required to traverse the worlds and make your way through the dungeons. It may seem a little bit gimmicky at first, but the effect is just so damn cool. The game is also much less linear than A Link to the Past, and there's really nothing stopping you from hitting different dungeons in any order you please. All the special items from the bombs to the hookshot are rented or later purchased, so there's little holding you back from going anywhere you want in this version of Hyrule. And when Lorule is opened up to you, it's also possible to travel back and forth between the two freely by the way of dimensional cracks. Overall, I think this game is easier and a lot more accessible than A Link to the Past. Having access to all your major Zelda weapons relatively early on by way of the rental system makes playing the game a lot easier. Having the endurance bar instead of needing to manage bombs or arrows or magic makes things very convenient, although sometimes you'll need to wait a little bit before being able to attack or use an item, so you'll need to be wise about that, especially since the wall merge also consumes your endurance. As long as you can rent your items, there's very little stopping you from exploring the game however you like. The overhead Zelda games have always had a big focus on being able to explore, and this one makes it easier than ever. Personally, I think Nintendo knocked it out of the park with this one. Hopefully, Nintendo continues to make these kind of throwback style games like this and New Super Mario. I really hope they don't do away with the overhead Zeldas as technology improves. I know the Switch is coming out in a few months and Breath of the Wild shortly after. So what are your hopes for the future of the Zelda franchise? What would you like to see? Also, since you saw the capture in this and I know it's a little wonky, what do you think? Should I try a few more 3DS games sometime? Let me know. Hope you've enjoyed the review. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.